Ogun State, created on 3rd February 1976, with Abeokuta as its capital by General Muritala Muhammad and Olusegun Obasanjo administration, has been a state destined for greater achievements among the Committee of States in Nigeria.
By the time we came in, we had 12 states, which were created by General Gowan on the eve of our civil war. So we set up a panel, a committee under Justice Rikefe. We then said, okay, let us carve out Ijebu province, Abeokuta province, then let's put them together. That became the reason that the then Abeokuta province and Ijebu province were brought together to form what today is known as Ogun State.
In 1976, I was a civil servant at that time, and a principal assistant secretary for that matter. And I remember that we all gathered around the radio and the television that day, listening to the announcement of the General Muritala Muhammad. And he started naming each of the states and their capitals. And in the civil service at that time, we abandoned work and gathered together in one of our halls. And there was this argument, where would the capital be? Some said it was Ijebu-Ode, some said it was Shagamu, some said it was Abeokuta. I was one of those who said it was to be in Abeokuta. And so when the state was announced, Ogun State, the capital is Abeokuta.
Made up of the old Egba, Egbado and Ijebu provinces, are named after the Ogun River. The Gateway State, as it is tagged, is bounded in the east by Ondo State, in the north by Oyo and Osun states, in the south by Lagos State, and in the west by the Republic of Benin. With the 2006 census population figure of 3.75 million people and 7.9 million estimated population as of 2016, the state has a landmass of 16,432 square kilometers. Ogun State has political administrative structure of 20 local governments subdivided into 236 wards with 3 senatorial districts, 9 federal constituencies, and 26 state constituencies. It can be said to be homogeneous with the Egba, Ijebu, Remo, Yewa Awori, and Egun as main ethnic groups. At creation, Lieutenant Colonel Seidu Ayodele Balogun was appointed pioneer military governor of the state. Saddled with the movement from Ibadan to Abeokuta, as well as setting up of a functional and enduring administration which would take the new state to greater heights. With a 12-man pioneer executive council in place and the workforce of civil servants inherited, the process of growth and development began.
Office-wise, not much. We hired houses for offices. And for the governor's office, we had to move out the housing corporation staff. Western Nigerian Housing Corporation had an office in Abeokuta. So all we did was to move them out, and that became the office of the military governor.
Between 1976 and 1978, the administration concentrated on the provision of good roads, electricity and potable water, all in a bid to transform Abeokuta into a befitting state capital. Part of the giant strides embarked upon was the building of a mini secretariat at Okeilewo, Abeokuta, establishment of the government press, Abeokuta, named Ogun State Printing Corporation. Others are Ogun State Broadcasting Corporation, Ogun State Water Corporation, as well as the building of the Ibara Housing Estate for civil servants. Some civil servants who transferred their service from the defunct Western region to the newly created Ogun State in 1976 share their experience.
The situation was very, very serious. Water supply, no. Electricity, very short. Then there was no office or personal accommodation for the staff. So we have to go on rented apartments. They should take care of those people who had suffered, because we had to we're traveling from Ibadan to Abeokuta every day at resumption.
The journey started from Ibadan. By the time they created the state, Ogun State, they deployed to work with the first governor of this state, Lieutenant Colonel then, Seidu Ayodele Balogun.
And directives was given that we should all report at Abeokuta, I think on the 27th of February. Although the state was created before, but the physical presence, because you will need to pack your luggage, you know, pack and so on and so forth. So that was how the journey started from Ibadan. The journey was one of a mass exodus, because there was directive that all persons affected must report by a given date. Of course, the permanent secretary, led by late Chief A.A. Debo, Secretary to Government and Public Service, took the lead. And when we got to Abeokuta, the problem is, where are we going to use as office?
That February, when the state was created, some members of SAR were still in Ibadan. I was one of those that was asked to stay back and be taking care of the news that concern or affect Ogun State in the old Western states. We hit the airwaves on the 9th of December 1976. That was the beginning of what is now known as OGBC.
Lieutenant Colonel Seidu Ayodele Balogun was succeeded by Brigadier Harris Ehaha, who came in with a clear mandate to hand over power to a civilian administration in 1979. Brigadier Ehaha also embarked on developmental projects. He played an important role of handing over power to Chief Olabisi Onabanjo on 1st October 1979 as the first civilian governor of the state on the platform of the Unity Party of Nigeria, UPN.
Do solemnly swear that I will be faithful, that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance, to the Federal Republic of Nigeria,
With appointment made into the State Executive Council, the Olabisi Onabanjo administration put in place the party's cardinal programs, which centered on free education, free healthcare, full employment, and even development across the state. The Obalikwede Ultramodern Market in Abeokuta, Itaosu Ultramodern Market, Ijebu-Ode, Ogun State Hotels in Abeokuta, Ijebu-Ode and Ota respectively, as well as the establishment of the Ogun State Television Village took place during Chief Onabanjo's administration. Establishment of Ogun State University, Agoiwoye, now Olabisi Onabanjo University, and the Ogun State Broadcasting House Complex in Ibara Housing Estate, Abeokuta, were also undertaken. In addition to these are the Agricultural Service Corporation, established to boost agriculture production, Gateway Pharmaceutical Company, Ikongba, and Gateway Paper Mill, Ijebu-Ife, incorporated in 1982. With all these in place, investors were drawn into the state, while integrated rural development were given high impetus. The movement of the old governor's office from Okeilewo to Okemosan is another giant stride of the Olabisi Onabanjo administration. The military, however, took over power in December 1983, putting an end to the democratic process. Colonel Oladipo Dia was then appointed military governor.
The first thing that will naturally occur to you is, let me get there, assess whatever problem was on the ground, and then see whatever you can do to address these problems.
Some of Dia's projects include the movement of all mechanics and artisans in the state to the newly created mechanic villages across the state. The commercialization of parastatals like Ogun State Television, OGTV, Ogun State Property and Investment Corporation, OPIC, were carried out during Dia's administration. Oladipo Dia left in 1985 as governor of Ogun State, and another military officer, Lieutenant Colonel Oladayo Pupola, took over the helm of affairs.
There was strict instructions then. Your capital budget should be 40%, your recurrent budget should be 60%. And at that time, Ogun State was already having a university, state university. We had a lot of secondary schools and primary schools with a lot of teachers. So by the time you take money for teachers and money for civil service out of the federation account that is allocated to us, you have virtually nothing to use to do any other thing. So what we were doing then was as per the need.
Lieutenant Colonel Oladayo Pupola handed the baton of leadership to Colonel Raji Rasaki in 1986. Colonel Rasaki took a practical approach to state matters.
When I came in, I believe in continuity. So I decided to retain some of the commissioners. Like your radio station and the television, we have the radio itself anyway. They were all staying an uncompleted building. So we were able to finish that. Then at the same time, the television house was I think using generator all the time. I think we're able to connect that with.
This administration hosted the first Merit Award night in 1987 to encourage and motivate its workforce.
When this man came in, Colonel Raji Rasaki, the man recommended me for that award. Now that award night, governor, they decided to give me level 8.
Navy Captain Mohammed Lawal became the military governor of Ogun State in 1988. Some developmental projects commenced during his tenure. This include Ogun State Cultural Center, now June 12 Cultural Center, Abeokuta, Ogun State International Stadium, now MKO Abiola International Stadium, and completion of OGBC Office Complex and the IBB Boulevard. In 1990, Navy Captain Oladende Joseph took over from his predecessor to ensure that the political transition program was fully implemented while ensuring all-round development in the state. His administration constructed the Ogun State Permanent Trade Fair Complex, where the third Ogun, Ondo, Oyo Joint Trade Fair was hosted. Oladende Joseph's administration continued the construction of the State Stadium Complex and the Cultural Center. Other projects credited to this administration include the Abeokuta and Ilaro fire stations, as well as the golf course.
My first short service, coincidentally, was at Ake the St. Peter's Ake, and Bishop Akintayo, in his 30 minutes preaching, said so many things, and thank God I had a paper, and he was looking down at me and he said, "Governor, you are welcome. This is Abekuta." There was a fire station. He thought had been abandoned, He told me 3 things and I noted them. If you think you must stay here to succeed,
this is the way to
look at this place, look at that place, and look at this place.
Chief Olusegun Oshoba became the second civilian governor of Ogun State on 2nd January 1992.
I, Olusegun Oshoba, do solemnly swear the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Oshoba's government came in to implement 5 F's: freedom from disease, freedom from poverty, freedom from ignorance, freedom from exploitation, as well as freedom from oppression. This administration concerned itself with rural development, electrification, provision of potable water, and roads across the length and breadth of the state.
As a result of my going around the state campaigning, I had the opportunity of seeing the whole state in its true color. Therefore, I had made up my mind on what to do before I was sworn in on the 2nd January 1992. And my focus was to concentrate heavily on developing the rural area, parallel pursue with the urban center, to ensure that we put a stop to the drift from the rural area to the urban centers of the state.
The June 12 Cultural Center was completed and commissioned in April 1992, while the movement from the old governor's office at Okimoson to the new office was witnessed during this period. The training and welfare of the workforce was given utmost attention. In 1993, the presidential election was conducted in what was believed to be the freest and fairest election ever. Ogun State indigene Bashorun Moshood Kashima Wolawale Abiola, the Social Democratic Party SDP presidential flag bearer, convincingly won the election.
Nigeria on the march again. On the march again. Looking for Mr. President. On the march again. MKO is our man.
This election was, however, annulled by the president, Ibrahim Babangida, causing an unprecedented outrage amongst Nigerians who refused to accept this injustice.
This administration could not continue to watch the various high courts carry on their long drawn-out processes and contradictory decisions while the nation slides into chaos. It was under these circumstances that the National Defense and Security Council decided that it is in the supreme interest of law and order, political stability and peace that the presidential elections be annulled.
President Ibrahim Babangida eventually stepped aside and handed over power to another indigene of Ogun State, Chief Ernest Shonekon, as head of interim national government. It was during this period that Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Akintonde was appointed as the military administrator with the major task of placating the people of Ogun State. Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Akintonde concentrated on agriculture and provision of potable water.
Apart from agriculture, we were giving stipend to the people for them to be able to improve their farm in terms of seedlings, plants, clearing land for them, because everything should not be based on cash. We went from agriculture to education, providing the student with books, for the student. And then the one we printed, we had Ogun State logo from front cover to the back cover.
His administration also resuscitated the Gateway Pharmaceutical Company, Ikogba, and formally commissioned in 1995. Lieutenant Colonel Akitonde handed the baton of leadership to Group Captain Sam Ewang in 1996. Group Captain Sam Ewang continued with the governance of the state, constructing the Sam Ewang Estate, a prototype for low-cost housing estates.
I decided I was going to complete the stadium within the first 6 months. I couldn't do that, but I completed my estate. And one thing about that estate, which I keep saying, I don't know eventually what people bought, but by the time I finished that estate, discounting the land, and most materials I used for that estate were given to me because there was no money. Like some of you might be aware, when problem happened at Ibenyi Bridge, that was an alternative route to the office. The bridge collapsed, and I was given a bill of 60 million naira. I couldn't do it. We spent 40 million naira to build that bridge. But then I finished the stadium in 7 months, not 6 months as I intended. We finished the stadium, and the stadium was used. Not just finishing the stadium, I gave management to that stadium.
The last of the military administrators in the state was Navy Captain Kayode Olofimoyin. He assumed office in 1998 after the death of the then Nigerian head of state, General Sani Abacha. Navy Captain Olofimoyin had to restore confidence in the people as well as hand over power to a democratically elected government.
The successful and honest implementation of the transition program designed to terminate on 29 May 1999. 2. Restoration of the confidence of our people in themselves. 3. Rekindle of the hope of the entire people of this state. 4. Execution of projects that will touch the people's lives. This will, in the main, be in the areas of roads, water, health, education, agriculture, and rural development.
He was the first military governor to visit Tongiji Island in Ikpokia local government of West Senatorial District, where a major jetty, primarily healthcare center, were constructed to ease the people's plight. It was also during his administration that the Ogun State Government Lodge in Abuja was completed.
One specific question that I always put pointedly to them, that look, my dear people, whether in the Jabu or Igbaland, I'm here for only 9 months. I'm not going to start any grandiose because it's going to be impossible to, before you even plan, before you take off. Just advise me, what do you think I can do in this area for a period of 9 months that I will achieve? And you know, like I said, our people are always forthright, they are very honest. They will tell you exactly, what's in their mind.
On the 29th of May 1999, Chief Olusegun Oshoba was sworn in as the civilian governor for a second term on the platform of Alliance for Democracy, AD. Chief Olusegun Oshoba continued with his rural development programs, concentrating on provision of water, roads, electricity supply, and primary healthcare center upgrades across the state. Majority of the projects were done through direct labor.
The only thing I decided when I first came in was to ensure that no abandoned project was left to rot. An example was the Opic Plaza in Ikeja. When I came in 1992, it had been concessioned out, and I didn't like the sharing formula, so we agreed to disengage. Left in 1993. I came back in 1999 to find that Opic Plaza was still the same thing. To me, it was, I didn't want to think of it as having been started by the military, but something that I think would be of benefit to the Ogun State government. So it was the first project I faced and completed. The bridge between Abadaoko and Adigbe. We started it in 1993. Again, to my shock, it was abandoned there. I thought, well, we should go after that too. And so to me, government is continuous.
The Oshoba administration also started the construction of roads at all the mechanic villages throughout the state. Ogun State Television had a new transmitter during this period, and an outside broadcast van was purchased during this period. The Oshoba administration ran its 4-year term, and on the 29th of May 2003, the mechanical engineer Otumba Gbenga Daniel was sworn in as the third civilian governor of the state on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. His administration saw to it that all development of infrastructure was achieved. In the education sector, it is on record that the first University of Education in Nigeria, the Taisholari University of Education, TASWED, was established. His administration encouraged public-private partnership, which accelerated the physical development in Olabisi Onabanjo University, Agoiwe, and the Moshood Abiola Polytechnic, Abeokuta. In housing development, the Media Village along Ajebo Road, the OGD Housing Estate in Ashero, Itanrin, the Olusegun Obasanjo Hilltop, the Judges' Quarters, and the Opik Estate Agbara Igbesa were constructed. Abeokuta-Shiun Interchange Road was dualized by Ogun State Road Maintenance Agency, Ogroma, also during Daniel's administration. Some new roads were also constructed. These include the 3-kilometer High Court Road in Shagamu, Ewang Idiaba Bypass Road, High Court Road, Ilaro, Opik Lalubu Road dualization, among others. Other projects include the Accident and Emergency Building at the State Hospital Ijayi Abeokuta, General Hospital Ijebu-Ode, and other locations in the state. Governor Daniel, in the area of sports development, constructed the Gateway International Stadium Shagamu and Ilaro, while Ijebu-Ode and Abeokuta stadia were upgraded preparatory to the hosting of the 15th National Sports Festival, tagged Gateway Games 2006. The NYSC Orientation Camp Shagamu was also built during his administration. The OGTV building was remodeled, leading to the involvement of a new broadcasting hall. Olumo Tourist Complex was also provided elevators and social facilities to attract tourists.
I dare say we face everything squarely. So whether you look at sports, roads, infrastructure, tourism, education, healthcare, you named it, we squarely face each and every of these areas, and that is what I can say.
It was an administration of 8 years, and on the 29th of May 2011, Senator Ibikunle Amosun, CONFCA, was sworn in as the fourth elected civilian governor of Ogun State. He contested and won on the platform of the Action Congress of Nigeria, ACN, and was re-elected under the coalition of the All Progressives Congress, APC, in 2015. On assumption of office, he applied the mission to rebuild the state agenda with a 5 cardinal program: affordable qualitative education, efficient healthcare delivery, increased agricultural production and industrialization, affordable housing and urban renewal, as well as rural and infrastructural development and employment generation.
Yes, for me, the most important is education. Because if you are not educated, if you are not informed, if you are not educated, what can you do? It is whatever you now, if you can't give what you don't have. Truly, you cannot. So if you are not trained in a particular, if you don't know anything, what can you give? You cannot. So for me, education is key. Agriculture for me, if you handle it well, it will be the pivot, the fulcrum, the premise on which all of those will rest. Because if you do agriculture well, that you drive it well, it will now lead you to industrialization.
Achievements in various critical sectors such as free education, stimulation of the investment environment and urban renewal took center stage. In the education sector, Ogun State over the years has comparative advantage over other states. The government invested heavily in the rebuilding of infrastructure, training and motivation of personnel across the state. In line with policy thrust of free education, free textbooks were distributed to students in the public primary and secondary schools. The disbursement of bursary, scholarship and grants to students of Ogun State origin in tertiary institutions was also regular, with payment of WAEC examination fees for all final year students in public secondary schools. Some schools were also renovated during this period, and in some cases, outright construction had to be done. The construction of model schools were also noted during the administration. In line with the free healthcare policy of the government, children from ages 0 to 5 and adults over 70 years enjoyed this facility. Over 100 primary healthcare centers were renovated and equipped. On the 25th of January 2018, the administration of Senator Ibikunle Amosun put the Ogun State Television Superhighway platform DSTV on channel 260 and GoTV channel 100. Building on the achievements of his predecessor, Amosun government embarked on massive physical infrastructural development, which attracted over 80 multinational industries in the state, which transformed the state to an industrial hub. On May 25, 2019, in the twilight of Governor Ibikunle Amosun's administration, President Muhammadu Buhari GCFR commissioned the OGTV new building, a 250-bed hospital and a judiciary complex, all in Abeokuta. Prince Dakbo Abiodun MFR of the All Progressives Congress APC was declared winner of the 2019 governorship election in Ogun State and sworn in as the 5th civilian governor on the 29th of May 2019 at the MKO Abiola International Stadium in Abeokuta, with the Ishaya acronym as the government's focal point.
Within the limit of available resources, we shall endeavor to be fair, open, just, equitable to all our workers and pensioners. My administration will evolve a new but constitutionally backed arrangement that will make all local government responsive and responsible to the yearnings of the people. It is well known that the primary responsibility of government is security and welfare, and no meaningful development can take place in an insecure environment. I'm determined to live up to the oath of office that invests in me the responsibility of the Chief Security Officer of our state.
True to his words, Governor Dakbo Abiodun immediately put machinery in place to ensure that he fulfilled his electoral promises to the good people of Ogun State with the mantra, building our future together. The unresolved issues of Moshood Abiola University of Technology Abeokuta and the Ogun State Polytechnic Ikpokia was immediately looked into. As a result of the recommendation of the committee set up to look into the issues, academic session has since resumed fully at the Moshood Abiola Polytechnic Abeokuta, and that of College of Education Omu-Ijebu is also being implemented. The current administration in Ogun State has consistently shown its desire to take education to the next level by embarking on total rehabilitation of educational infrastructure in the state in all the 3 senatorial districts. Promotion of over 10,000 teaching and non-teaching staff for the 2016-2017 promotion year has been carried out, with the governor promising that under his watch, the state will be returned to the path of excellence. Ogun State won various awards in education and agriculture within almost 2 years of its administration. Best graduating students in tertiary institutions were given automatic employment.
Firstly, I want to appreciate His Excellency for what he has done. I want to appreciate the President of Nigeria too. And I want to encourage every teacher to keep doing their best.
On behalf of the government of Ogun State, we will be offering the best graduating student, Esther Modupe Akintola, immediate employment opportunity.
In 1976, the only institution of higher learning in Ogun State was the Federal Advanced Teachers College, which commenced study at the old Abeokuta Grammar School site in Isale Igbeyin. Now known as Federal College of Education, it is situated at Oshiele in Abeokuta. The state presently has the highest concentration of higher institutions of learning in the country. The COVID-19 pandemic led to the introduction of Ogun DigiClass, an e-learning platform for students in the state. Other projects include Ogun Tech Hub for training and learning of citizens, Ogun Job Portal for youth employment.
I'll be working with the government to see how we can do more empowerment, give more opportunities to young men and women.
The administration of Prince Dakwa Abiodun launched a security trust fund, which is a collaborative effort with well-meaning Nigerians and corporate organizations that will jointly bring activities of hoodlums to a zero level. Agriculture has continued to improve since Governor Abiodun's assumption of office. And as part of efforts to make Ogun State the food basket of the nation, the State Anchor Borrowers Program was launched with the support of the Central Bank of Nigeria, with the mandate of producing enough food for local consumption and export. 10,000 youths benefited in the pilot phase.
The Fadama Guide is particularly unique because it is targeted at two main vulnerable groups of our population, the youths and the women. And we are also elated that our public-private partnership program towards the successful implementation of our